Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Bangalore. Despite the weather, despite the traffic, you made it, and huge thanks. Super proud of all of you. So, who has seen this video before? Who knows what's being shown on this video? Yeah? What is it? Okay. So these are the famous Tesla bots. And this was the latest video that Musk dropped at their shareholder meeting that just happened. It's called the Optimus. And if you are part of the DeepTech community, I'm sure you're keeping tabs because this is just phenomenal in terms of the progress, the advancement that they are making. If any of you have seen the last few videos of Optimus a few months back to this, it's just amazing what they have done. With respect to movement, these bots are now walking straight without stumbling. They're walking coordinated in groups. Identity, they're being able to identify objects. They're being able to pick up objects. Environment memorization, perception. I mean, it's just amazing the kind of progress they are making and how fast. And that's the key word. The speed at which things are happening, I think that's becoming the hallmark of our times. I mean, I feel tremendously fortunate that we are living in a world, in a time when the speed of technology, the speed of change, the speed of evolution of technology is completely defying human imagination. We can't even imagine how fast this thing is going. Forget about keeping up with it. And this is the world that we are living in. And the most fantastic part of that to me is that space where cutting edge technology meets breakthrough science and engineering innovation. And that to me, or in other words, the world of deep tech. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nasscom Future Forge. And our commitment is not just, as Ram said, to grow the deep tech community, but our commitment is to grow the ecosystem, to build an ecosystem that will continue to grow and become truly sustainable and make India a leader in this ecosystem, because that's one area where failure is absolutely not an option. So, pop quiz. Who invented the term deep tech and when? This is a room full of deep tech gurus. Anyone who knows the answer, who invented deep tech and when was it invented? I can count on PK to give me the wrong answers. Anyone? Anyone? 1, 2, 3, going, gone. You've seen my slides? Okay, yes. So we can feel proud. Deep tech, the term deep tech was invented in 2015 by Swati Chaturvedi, who is the CEO and co-founder of Propelx. And I love the way she defined it. She defined deep tech as companies founded on technology or scientific discovery and meaningful engineering innovation. She went on to say that these are the companies that are trying to solve big issues that really affect the world around them. For example, new medical device or technique fighting cancer, data analytics to help farmers grow more food, or cleaner energy solutions trying to lessen the human impact on climate change. She went on to add the difference. She said, this is different from businesses that are doing process innovation, or businesses that are moving offline models to online with the use of technology. And I think that's a very fair differentiation. But this is how the word deep tech came into being in 2015. And since then, it's been an amazing journey, amazing journey. This is just a representative of some of the global companies that are truly changing the world. Companies like Tesla, SpaceX, I mean, there are just so many of them, that AstraZeneca, that are reimagining almost the basic fiber of what is possible in their domains. These are the companies and this is the community that is creating the future. And as Nasscom, we feel really proud to see how the Indian ecosystem is growing, how the Indian deep tech community is growing, and we are tremendously privileged to be able to work with so many of you, with so many startups that are putting India on the deep tech map. Again, just a small representative list of the kind of work that our startups are doing, the kind of startups that we are working with. But these startups are ready to play with the big boys and the big girls. These startups are solving big problems from making reliable and cost-effective hydrogen available to ocean tech. Ignoble is working on ocean tech for ensuring that they save our oceans, as well as the communities that depend on the oceans for their livelihood. QNU Lab is working on quantum cryptography. I mean, it's just amazing the kind of work that they are doing. And to talk a little bit more about this, I'll very soon invite on stage a few very special guests, a few very young entrepreneurs who are going to leave you with absolutely no doubt that Indian entrepreneurship, Indian deep tech entrepreneurship has absolutely nothing lacking when it comes to ambition, the bigness of their dreams, and their capabilities. Indian entrepreneurs today are ready to compete globally if they get the support that is needed. The missing piece today is the ecosystem. And that's the piece that needs to come together. So without any further ado, let me get the show started and let's start meeting our entrepreneurs and find out the kind of work they are doing to change the world. So before I call my first guest, this one you'll better know. What is this? What is coming out of Chandrayaan? Huh? Pragyan rover. Remember that? Remember that moment? Remember the goosebumps? Remember the ahas? Well, what is fascinating about Chandrayaan, of course, first country to land on the south pole of the moon. What is fascinating about the work the Pragyan rover has been doing is exploring the south pole of the moon, which for years have intrigued and fascinated scientists because of the possibilities that exist, right? And I think ISRO has done tremendous work and contributed globally to the scientific community by understanding more about the dark side of the moon, as we call it, and understanding what really exists. And in order to do that, what is the one thing that the Pragyan rover needs? I'll give you a hint. What does it need to see the terrain? Eyes, right? In simple English, it needs the eyes. And I am so pleased to invite my first guest, Akash, founder of Omnipresent Robotic, the company that has powered the eyes of the Pragyan rover. Give it up for Akash. Welcome, Akash. I mean, first of all, I have to start by asking you, what was that moment like? When the rover finally got out of Chandrayaan and it started its moonwalk, what was that moment like?
Well, first of all, I must say we had this moment a few years earlier also on Chandrayaan 2 landing when, so when Chandrayaan 3 was landing, obviously the heartbeats were up, not just mine, I think the entire nation, and I think the entire nation.
1.4 billion heartbeats.
Yeah, and I think we all burst into joy. I think we all cheered and we jumped like we won the World Cup. And it was obviously nothing less than that. So it was an amazing moment, and then to be able to feel that something that was in your lab is now actually on moon, I think that was also an amazing feeling.
That is an amazing feeling. we've talked about how your company has powered the eyes of Chandrayaan rover. Talk a little bit about what that means.
We have a little video. I don't know if we can have that.
Nehal, can we have the video, please?
And so, oh, all right. So,
Yeah,
so this is that's the simulation software that we had built for the Pragyan rover, so that we could see how the rover would behave once it's on moon. Huh? Now imagine you have a huge gigabit internet network here, but if you were to download these images from moon, it would take 10 minutes just to get one image. So we had to build a 3D model and do it in extreme conditions. You know, it's a south pole, very bad connectivity, and moon, you know, has literally no colors. It's either black or white, very few shades, very few textures. It's actually very difficult to build a 3D without colors and textures. And so we had to take up this challenge, and you know, interestingly, now that this technology has been built, it has some amazing new applications also.
Talk about the new applications. What can it do?
So because we were able to do this in extreme situation, now recently we've also won a IDEX award from Indian Air Force to be able to build 3D models in extreme low light and bad quality, data. Now this has global applications. You know, I mean, some of you might know that the global remote sensing market is going to be $55 billion by 2032. And one of the key technologies there is how to build remote sensing with low quality data and nighttime activity. And those are the areas where we're seeing a lot of international interest coming in.
Fantastic. Tremendous possibilities and potential. If you can, if don't want you to give out any state secrets, but if you can, as the rover explored the south side of the moon, were there any surprises that you can talk to us about?
Well, there were a couple of surprises. I can talk a little bit about them. So one of them was when we landed there, the sun angle that we estimated that would come to the rover was not as much as we thought, which means that we were basically not getting much sunlight, which meant it took a lot more time for the rover batteries to charge, and you know, we had to run the rover for the lesser time. But still, you know, we were still able to, you know, do all the tasks that the rover was designed to.
Fantastic. And we didn't discover any, you know. It's okay. If he tells us, he'll have to kill us. So we will.
Well, I will tell you something in general about the Chandrayaan mission. That look, there's been, you know, the entire world, NASA, Russia, they've been going to moon for 50 years. Chandrayaan, when it went there for the first time, we discovered water, and huge amounts of water. You know, I don't know if you know, but the estimates are that there is enough water on lunar south poles to fill an entire Dal Lake.
Wow.
Now that means you can build a civilization there. People could live in domes, create oxygen, hydrogen, rocket fuel, a lot of possibilities. You know, earlier everybody was going to Mars, but now with Chandrayaan's contributions, you will see there's a new lunar race. Everybody wants to get to moon, and everybody wants to get to the lunar south pole, but we were the first country to do it.
I think the folks in NCR are going to be absolutely beating this race, because if we have to survive, we have to get out, we have to breathe.
Yeah, tell me, I'm coming from the smog.
We both are.
Yeah.
You know, this is just fun. It is just such inspiration work, Akash, that you are leading at Omnipresent. But what's next? I've heard about some of the work you're doing, digital mapping of India. Can you talk a little bit about what's next for you guys?
Right. So we build a lot of drones. You know, we are into space as well as aerospace. And as part of drones, the PM Modi has launched an amazing scheme called Swamitva, where entire India is being digitally mapped at 1 centimeter resolution. You know, think of it as Google Map with 1 centimeter resolution.
Wow.
And it will give land record ownerships backed by technology to everyone. So, you know, if in a few years' time when you're going to buy land somewhere in India, I mean, some people must have land buying experience, and you know, it's very tricky. But now you'll have it completely technology-backed solution. And let me tell you again, it has never been done at such a large scale and such high resolution anywhere in the world. So again, India is being, you know, a pioneer in this technology.
And you guys are in that effort.
Yeah, we've mapped more than 10,000 villages across a dozen states in India.
Fantastic. Now, Akash, if There is one thing, if you had that magic genie and you could change one thing that would significantly help y'all do more, do better, what is that?
So, one of the things I do feel like is that it's difficult for people in deep tech to acquire talent. I mean, and so just to give you an example, there are an estimated 1 million jobs to be created in drone industry itself. These are estimates from Civil Aviation Ministry. But we can't find people who are coming out of universities well versed and well trained with drone technology. So what happens, 5-6 months we train them. Sometimes they'll stay with us, sometimes they'll jump to a competitor, and then we have to again, repeat this cycle. So that definitely, gives us a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think universities and governments have a lot of catching up to do.
Absolutely.
There's so many jobs available in deep tech, but there aren't, of course, people might say jobs are drying out because of AI and, there are no jobs in software. But I'll tell you there are lots of jobs especially in drone segment and deep tech. But I think the universities, if there are people from universities here, I think they really need to catch up with this.
Yeah. No, while we are making a lot of progress with NEP, etc., I still believe, and this is a personal belief, that we are still geared towards the jobs of the past. We are
True.
not being able to pivot to the new jobs that are yet to come, and they are coming fast. So I agree. I think that's a huge challenge, and that's something we have to build together. Last question. You grew up in Patna. A kid growing up in Patna, was entrepreneurship always the goal?
No, I don't think I had any idea what entrepreneurship was. I spent my early years of life in Patna, then in Delhi, then got a chance to go to US, worked there mostly as a technology, guy there. Then I wanted to come back to India, and honestly, I didn't know what job to do here. So that's why I started my own startup. I don't think I had any idea what I was getting into. In fact, if I had been logical and knew what I was getting into, maybe I would not have got into it. So sometimes maybe ignorance is bliss. But yeah, I think once you can overcome the first few years of initial hiccups and you get hang of it, I think first few years can be extremely challenging. It's like giving birth to a baby and raising it. It's a 24/7 job, not a 9-to-5 job. And if the baby cries middle of the night, you still have to take care of it. But I think once the baby grows up, then it can start taking care of you. So I think that's kind of how I see entrepreneurship. Difficult to start, difficult to get past the initial years, but I think once you can cross that, I think the benefits are also nice.
So Akash, you've conquered the moon. Here's wishing you the best the sky's the limit for you and beyond.
Yeah.
So wishing you the best for whatever's next, and keep doing such brilliant work that not just puts us on the global map, but makes us so proud. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Debjani, and thank you, Nasscom.
So from space, we are moving to another domain that is as important, tremendously important, especially for economic growth and for a crisis, one of the biggest crises facing us, which is shortage of food, which is agri-tech. And I'm so pleased to welcome homegrown boy from Bangalore, Jayasimha Rao, founder, Nico Robotics. Welcome, Jay. Come. So Jay, you have ventured into an area where few dare to venture, agri, right?
Yep.
It's one of those places where startups feel tremendously difficult to change mindset, tremendously difficult to get anything new done. But I think it's all about the problem and how you approach that problem, right? And I think you have found an absolutely brilliant problem. Talk a little bit about what you do.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I think at Nico Robotics, we are making agriculture spraying more precise. So the analogy I like to draw is if you're a teacher, you have 30 kids in your class, 3 of your kids are sick. You're not going to give all the kids antibiotics. But in farming, that's exactly happening.
What happens?
And I don't want to scare everybody here. If you look at a brinjal farmer today and go to his farm, it's a 3-acre farm, he'll be growing brinjal, and there'll be a small patch on the side. And you go and ask him or her, hey, what is this patch? And he say, that's the brinjal my family will consume this is the brinjal that I sell. So if you please wash your brinjal now. I'm sure all of you are going to do it. So there's a lot of interesting things happening on the farm in India, and our technology aims to make it more precise. So I love to showcase what our technology does to you and your audience so that everybody has context of what we're trying to build.
Fantastic. Can we have the video, please?
Nico RoboSpray is changing the way agrochemicals are sprayed in 3 steps. Custom AI camera sees each plant. Proprietary AI model selects the target plant. Automated spray nozzle control system sprays precise chemical dosage to the target plant.
लगभग 50% मेरी उसमें बचत हो गई, क्योंकि पहले जो मशीन चालू रहती थी तो वो कंटिन्यू दवाई छिड़कती थी, जहाँ पे फसल हो ना हो दवाई छिड़कती थी। कॉटन का कैसा रहता है, एक गैप रहता है 2-3 फीट का। अब आपके मशीन में बहुत टेक्नोलॉजी अच्छी किया, जहाँ पे फसल है प्रॉपर वहीं पे दवाई गिर रही, जहाँ पे फसल नहीं ऑटोमेटिकली वो बंद हो रही। मेरा लगभग अभी 44-45 हज़ार की औषध होती थी, अभी मेरे 20-22 हज़ार के आसपास खर्चा होगा, यानी मेरा एक स्प्रे पे 20-22 हज़ार रुपये आप बचा रहे। निको स्प्रेयर से मशीन से लगभग 3 या 4 एकड़ ज़्यादा हो रहा उतनी, इसमें जो 4-5 एकड़ करते थे वो 9-10 एकड़ तक उसमें स्प्रे हो रहा है। इसमें बचत है निको कंपनी की वजह से।
Fantastic, fantastic. Jay, you know, every founder needs to find that one sticky solution that, that their customer will pay for.
Right.
You have found yours, and it's fantastic. Talk a bit about it.
Yeah, I think, you know, when speaking to a DeepTech audience here, we all start with a big tech ambition, you know, we're passionate about the tech. And then after a few years, you get a little bit jaded. Okay, the tech is working, but what's my eureka moment? And for us, this Mr. Yogesh, he's in Akola, Maharashtra. He saw the demo, he thought, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, let me give it a shot. But as soon as we finished spraying 4 acres, he went and checked the sprayer tank, and he saw half his pesticides still remaining. And that was the eureka moment for us.
Absolutely.
And I like to add, it took me 8 years to get that eureka moment. So it takes a while, gestation period is high, but even now looking at the video, I'm getting goosebumps thinking it is worth it. It was worth the 8-year fight.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Absolutely. Absolutely. And in those 8 years, you have gone from Akola in Maharashtra to the farms in California.
Yes.
Talk about that journey a bit.
Yeah, I think the super interesting thing about farming is all farmers do this essentially the same thing. They put the seed in the ground, the crop grows, then you have to spray. So we just returned back from a trip in Salinas, California. This is south of San Jose. And this is the lettuce belt of the US. And we were able to take our camera, put it on the sprayer there, and within 48 hours, we make an existing dumb sprayer smarter with this AI power technology. And we were able to save 37% of their liquid fertilizer and pesticide. So I think we don't need validation from the West, but I think for this kind of technology, having home code advantage, we can be the gold standard in agrobotics. Like we don't need to say we are the X, you know, Uber of X, or we don't need a Western analogy. And we have 130 million hectares of agriculture in India. So why can't we make a Silicon Valley farmer say we are the Nico of Salinas Valley? And I think that's the goal. Yeah. Yeah.
Amen. Amen. Your biggest challenge?
Yeah, I think people have touched on this. I started this in 2015. I had a head full of black hair. Now you can see all this white hair here. So it's been a roller coaster up and down. I think capital, patient capital. Yeah, I think this is not a B2B SaaS product. This is not quarter over quarter. It's taken us 8 years to generate the first revenue. So patient capital, sizable capital, and every board meeting, investors don't sit on our head for a DeepTech founder. Take time. This takes 5-6 years.
Take time to understand.
Understand and be patient, and we will deliver the rewards. We're not saying that this is not for profit.
Yeah.
But we need that time, and we need that space to build.
Well, all the best to you, Jay.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
So we're going to move from space to agri to health, and an area where the possibilities of AI are pretty much limitless. And joining me today is can I get the slide? Thank you. Joining me today is the brilliant Gitanjali Radhakrishnan, a girl from the hills of India, and she is doing some fabulous work. I'll let her talk about it. Gitanjali, welcome.
Thank you.
Come. So why don't you tell us what you do?
Sure. So I was born and raised in the hills of Munnar. Of course, it's a beautiful place, but access to healthcare has always been 100 kilometers away.
Yes.
So I'm a bioengineer by my background, and I always wanted to do something in healthcare. And bigger companies do not take BTechs, so which is why I wanted to immerse myself in a particular disease statement. I met Dr. Ayush Gupta and D.Y. Patel, where a farmer was treated and at an advanced stage of limb amputation. He was treated with antibiotics in his local hospital for a fungal infection. So that really triggered me, and we are working in a global acute, chronic, and traumatic wounds. You know, bacteria, fungi, they are everywhere. And you know that for a simple cough, you're prescribed with azithromycin. You can just buy it off the counter.
Yeah.
So our major mission is to bring down the rate of amputation. In India, at least every year, 2 lakh people are getting amputated. And second thing, prevent misuse of antibiotics. And that can only happen if you can make these invisible bacteria visible. And it has to be completely label-free, which is our vision. So label-free in the sense you don't need to add any external reagents, you need complex diagnostic labs and trained physician to perform it. And all our solutions are just using optics, photonics, fast electronics along with AI.
You've got something, you want to show us what that is?
Sure. So we have both global and national patents, 8 of them, and the main technology lies in...
Come on, give it up for her, 8 patents, man.
So
Brilliant.
we have revolutionized a new imaging technology called autofluorescence imaging. It's completely filterless to go to the downs of it, and it also uses time-dependent fluorescence where we pulse a light in a nanosecond, and we are able to see the fluorescence that comes naturally from bacteria. What is considered as a noise is now what we use to detect the same kind of infections. So it is as simple as you just, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Sure.
The demo gods always play tricks, so don't worry.
And
You can just show the device.
Sure. So it's as simple as you take an imaging, okay, and you just point at a screen. For now, our first use case into wound care.
Wounds.
So burns, diabetic foot. So you just show a wound and then you click capture, and you can see there's multiple lights that gets emitted. So we capture around 15 multispectral images under 4 seconds. And now with AI, we are able to predict what is the bacteria, type of bacteria, all non-invasively.
And why is
So
this important? Why is this important, Gitanjali? What does it do?
Sure. So the current method, which is the standard culture technique, you need to take a sample, send it to a microbiology lab, and it takes at least 3 to 7 days for a definitive result. And what is very, very sad is it's only 53% accurate. Sorry to the microbiologists who are present here. It only picks up the commonly available bacteria. It cannot go to the down of it. So there's a lot of limitations, but it's still the gold standard method. So which is why doctors rarely send, especially in a tier 2 city, you hardly find a diagnostic lab. So it's only prescribed at a very advanced stage where you send it to a culture. So that is why it's extremely important you have non-invasive technology where it can be used even by a nurse, a compounder, in a multi-speciality hospital to a small tier 2 or a tier 3 primary healthcare center. So which is why it's very important that we can do something that's real time and you don't need those complex labs.
And you were telling me that early detection can actually save amputations and prevent amputations, etc., right?
Absolutely. So if you're able to see these bacteria real time, you can start, if they need treatment, you can start early, or you can, if you don't see an infection, don't give them antibiotics. So it's an evidence-based approach rather than not having metrics to treat them.
And are you testing it anywhere today? Is it actually being deployed
Yes,
anywhere
so
in the field?
we had commercialized 2-3 years back. Right now, some of the major places is Safdarjung Burns Unit. We have deployed them. We have deployed in a couple of northeast states like Arunachal Pradesh, Assam. And one of our key users is Tamil Nadu Omandur Government Hospital. And in a small pilot study of 30 patients, we just realized that when they sent it for a culture, out of 30, 11 came back as no growth. The patient was visibly getting sick and a device was able to pick up an infection. And we had done an alternate method and 11 out of 30 is no growth. So you can imagine what kind of treatment that would be.
This is fantastic. What will it take to get you to scale successfully to every hospital in India?
Sure. So our technology is not only for wound care. So, when I founded the company and got into this label-free detection, it's not only in healthcare. We want to even do non-medical applications. We want to get into cosmetology. We want to get into food, agri, because bacteria, fungi, detection, it's everywhere. So, of course, adoption for a newer technology in India is not as rapid as what you can see in, developed markets. They have metrics. They know how many people are actually dying. They know how many people are being mistreated, how much of time it's taking for them in terms of admission, in terms of the healthcare stay. Now, those metrics are not available in India for people to take it very seriously. We keep talking about antimicrobial resistance, but then it takes a lot of adoption, which at policy level, a lot of marketing budget needs to be allotted, and where is the money, right?
Where is the money? That's the question you're going to again and again hear from Indian deep tech startups. Where is the money? So the investors in the room, it's time to show up.
Yeah. So we were happy that we got funding from BIRAC. We have Mentera Venture Funds investing in us. But Series A seed is covered. But what next? How do we scale up? We need those huge amount of funding. For example, the same technology, a company in US got $100 million just in grant funding. Yeah. Whereas we were able to raise 1 million over a period of 8 years. So, that's the huge gap.
I hear you, feel the pain, but hopefully we will see things changing soon. I mean, that's the mission we are on.
Absolutely. We're very positive. India is in the development phase, and especially for DeepTech, with support from Nasscom, I'm sure we can go
Thank you so much, Gitanjali. Fabulous work. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
So before I introduce my next guest, the last guest, how many of you have heard of Adanki? Anyone in the room? Adanki? Adanki is a small village, there's one person, thank you, is a small town in Andhra Pradesh, if I'm not wrong, and home to my next guest, the brilliant scientist and an excellent entrepreneur, Dr. Riaz Syed. Riaz, the founder of Centella AI Therapeutics.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Riaz.
Right.
So Riaz, tell us quickly, what do you do? What does Centella do?
All right, fantastic. How many of you can identify this medicine? Crocin?
It's the one thing that kept us alive in the pandemic.
Right. I'm sure.
Dolo.
Dolo? Bolo, zor se bolo? Dolo. Okay, right. So, but have you ever thought for a while how much time it would take for this medicine to come into the market? It would take 10 to 15 years of time and $2 to $2.5 billion of investment to get this drug from bench to bedside. And as per World Health Organization, there are 18,000 diseases that have been notified and only 500 diseases has got treatment.
18,000 diseases, 500 cure.
You heard me right.
Wow.
And only 500 drugs were approved by US FDA. And if at all with a great noble mission and intention, you start doing R&D, it would take 550 years from now to have the treatment for all the rest of the diseases. But can we allow the patient community and the caregivers suffer? No. So what Centella is trying to do is, we would like to, we are on a mission to bring out safer, cheaper, and affordable medicine by reducing the time and cost that gets into the typical drug discovery. We are trying to do this by integrating AI and ML, through which we can potentially reduce the cost by 60% and time by 25% and improve the clinical trials success.
So the use of AI, the right use of AI, you're saying you can bring down costs by around 60%.
Absolutely.
And you can speed up the time to market or time to clinical trials by around 25%,
Absolutely.
right?
Right.
And what you wanted to show a little bit about what the work you're doing. So
Absolutely.
can we have his video, please? You want to talk a bit about this?
Right. So the generative AI algorithm which we built based on chemical language models, so it generates new molecules, new chemical entity. It is disease agnostic and then target agnostic. It can work for any disease and any protein or target. So we were working on pancreatic ductal adenocarcinoma, like that's what in common terminology called as pancreatic cancer. So we generated few molecules with our technology, and then we predicted its ADMET profile, absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, and toxicity. And then we synthesized few compounds in the chemistry laboratory, and then we did the biology on a specific target. That's what we call as HDAC. And then we have some very interesting results, and then we did the protein binding studies, how the molecule which we designed is binding to the protein actually inside the body, whether it is actually giving the real effect what we intend. And we are also working on some of the niche technology. So for IP reasons, we are not disclosing much of the stuff, but we are on the track. We are on the track.
This is groundbreaking work, right? I mean, during the pandemic, when it happened, all of us wanted the drug for COVID. And we all knew that it was not going to be possible. It was not going to be possible to have a drug anytime soon. And we know that that was not the first and last pandemic. We know that there are many more to come. And I think this is one area where the use of AI, I mean, this to me is the most important role that AI can play, right? But this takes tremendous amount of investment, tremendous amount of dollars, and we've heard so many of your colleagues talk about the lack of patient capital. If I may ask, whatever you can share, how much investment have you been able to raise in India? Rough figures.
30,000 USD.
30,000 USD, and mostly government?
Yes, mostly government, funded by Startups India Seed Fund and MITI, and then now Nasscom is helping us and put in the right track. With our skill set, with our expertise, my co-founder is a cancer biologist and an expert in precision medicine. And I'm a typical drug hunter, where I design molecules and burst the IP and patents and then design new molecules. And we have a strong AI team and strategy team as well. If at all our company would have been invested, or typical in US, by now we would have been raised a minimum 10 to 15 million USD.
Yeah.
But we would like to have our company as an Indian or homegrown success, and then build this success story from, or build the IP from the soil of India rather than from the soil of US. So that gives us a lot of pleasure, and then that we are more passionate about it. I'm sure you're there to support. And then I also urge from this stage to all the VCs to look this deep tech through a different lens, and then be a little patient. We are going to deliver definitely. As Jai was also mentioning, sabar ka phal meetha hota hai.
Amen, amen. And just FYI, I'm sure you've heard of in silico medicine, which is in the news a lot, doing similar work, AI drug discovery. Recently managed to tremendously accelerate one of the drugs for debilitating lung disease to clinical trial. Has raised over 350 million
Yes.
odd, right? With pretty much similar size teams, etc. So this is one challenge that we have to come together to really solve for India. But thank you, Riaz, you're doing fabulous work, and I hope that your dream of being a success story for India will absolutely come true.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you.